Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Monday, February 5th, 2024, the anniversary of the 25-point comeback by Tom Brady in the scripted NFL. And what's just as scripted as the NFL is this here ritual with Killer Mike at the Grammys last night, Sunday, February 4th, 2024. After winning 3 Grammys for his Michael album, he's escorted away by police. And this is reminiscent of Will Smith winning big at the Academies and then being ritualistically shamed for slapping Chris Rock and then being banned from the Academy for a decade. Again, a black man has a big night, but then he goes out in cuffs or goes out humiliated or becomes the laughing stock of Hollywood. You've never seen anything like this happen in your life to an actor that was a lighter complexion. And we're going to talk about why this happened to Killer Mike. And we're going to talk about his appearance on Real Time with Bill Maher Friday, 2 days before this happened. Again, the people who are responsible for this are the people who are responsible for the calendar we're on, for calling this thing Black History Month, and who founded a lot of things, including the network HBO. But I'm going to show you how all of this stuff is clearly connected and who is truly to blame. So, again, we're talking about the cabal, we're talking about Kabbalah, we're talking about the Jesuits, we're talking about Gematria, and look at how perfect this ritual is. Yet again, here we go. Killer Mike arrested February 4th, 76 days before his birthday. And remember, the first day of Black History Month, Hoodie from Hootie and the Blowfish was arrested in a 76 ritual. Then Carl Weathers was dead at age 76. And now we have Killer Mike arrested 76 days from his birthday. And what's 76 about? Again, it's not arbitrary that the authorities or the U.S. federal government recognized Black History Month in 1976. In Gematria, slave, Negro, Rasta, blues, they all equate to 76. Again, Acts 7:6, about 400 years of slavery. Acts, the 44th book of the Bible, like Obama, number 44, elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act, whose name in Gematria also equates to 76. Now, notice Killer Mike's birth name is Michael Santiago Render, which has the Gematria of 201 and 102. And again, the feds recognize Black History Month in 76 on the date February 10th, which can be written 10/2, like 102. Slavery equates to 102. This goes with Rucker, Darius Rucker, Hootie, being arrested 102 days from his birthday. It also goes with how they emphasize the Mandalorian in the death of Carl Weathers at age 76, because Mandalorian has that 102. And let's not forget the American Civil War, which had a lot to do with slavery, began on the 102nd day of the year. But you can also see that Michael Santiago Render equals 201, like Carter G. Woodson, who's credited with Black History Month. And of course, 201 is the number of the Jesuit cabal. Again, it's why the first Jesuit priest, or not priest, but Pope Francis is the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. And Jorge Mario Bergoglio, his birth name equals 201, like Ignatius of Loyola's 201, like the Jesuit Order's 201. Again, Ignatius is the founder of the Jesuits. But just big numbers with Jesuit ritual throughout history. Now, this was the 66th Grammys. And notice, Killer Mike, the rap name, has the Gematria 66. He becomes the spectacle. He's a big winner, and then he becomes the spectacle. And keep in mind, 66 is the 11th triangular number, and the word black itself is 11. A black man in Black History Month getting ritualistically shamed. If you're new here, we'll go over how the ciphers work, because I'm going to show you the other side of Killer Mike. But notice his album, Michael, came out June 16th, 2023. He won 2 awards for the hit song on here and 1 for the album. From the release date of the album, June 16th, to winning big at the Grammys, February 4th, was 233 days later. And the song that he won 2 awards for, I hate how Derek changes about his calculator. It's called Scientists and Engineers. And the thing on Derek's calculator is if you put an ampersand in here, just like how he spells it, it just disappears on the calculator. I don't know. His old version didn't do that. But just so you can see that even with the ampersand, it's 233 with the alphabetic order, right? So you put in the ampersand, but it doesn't show up down here. Scientists and engineers, ampersand's a null value, but 233 and 233, again, that's the hit song on the album that he won awards for. Came out 233 days earlier. 233 is the 51st prime number. Michael, the album, has Gematria 51. Killer Mike also has Gematria 51. And a moment ago, I showed you how Killer Mike is 66, which is true. It's also 51. And again, the ciphers are very simple. One is taking the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26, but applying numerology to each letter. So A would still be 1, B would still be 2, C would still be 3. When you get to J, the 10th letter is where it would change. J, 10, the numerology of 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. So J becomes 1. K, the 11th letter, is 1 plus 1 is 2. So you can see the K is worth 2 on there. And then just going through it. I is the 9th letter. L is the 12th letter. The numerology of 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. So when you apply numerology to Killer Mike, it's 51. Michael, with the alphabetic order, just A is 1 up to Z is 26, is 51. And when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, so making Z1 back to A is 26, but applying numerology, Killer Mike becomes 66. And again, this is the base cipher system of the English language, the 4 base ciphers. You learn this system, you see through the rituals. So Killer Mike shamed at the 66th Grammys, and a perfect ritual synced up with the release of his album Dead On. And this stuff goes on every year. We're showing this every year. Except for what's nice is, Killer Mike's not dead. Normally we're talking about the death of somebody. So, to have a little fake arrest scene, more ritual shaming of the black populace. What would they say? He was arrested for assaulting a woman. Same stereotypes they like to put out in your regularly scheduled programming. Again, Sirius XM, if you're out there looking for the shoes to fill of the Black Eagle. Again, we'll call myself the Albino Eagle. Bring me on. We're going to do a lot more for the black people of the United States of America and the world than the Black Eagle ever did, who said all they can do is vote. Vote, vote, vote. And you know what? Killer Mike gets on Bill Maher and tells people to go out and vote. And Killer Mike supposedly has a black-owned bank. Remember, they've been doing a lot with Killer Mike in recent years, and he keeps going on that Jesuit-run HBO show to talk about it. We're going to talk about how perfect his appearance was before this ritual on little scumbag Bill Maher's program. Nothing but propaganda on that show. But anyhow, notice how forwards and backwards Michael and Grammys, 33 and 39. And of course, he was just on Bill Maher's show on the 33rd day of the year. And what is 33? It's the rep digit of 3. Won 3 awards for Michael. Also, things that equal 33 and 39 forwards and backwards, Masonry, secrecy, federal. Big biblical numbers. Genesis, for example, is 33 and 39. The first book of the Old Testament that's 39 books in Protestant Bibles. Again, there's a reason MLK and Malcolm X were killed at age 39, and there's a reason the oldest person in the Old Testament is black. And there's a reason the identity's been stolen, and these rituals unfold by these biblical numbers day after day. But anyhow, look at the long 33 list. Grammys, Michael, police. He's escorted out in the police as Michael after his 3 awards. Masonry, federal, secrecy, order. Again, this is a lot like what they did with Will Smith. It's another type of ritual shaming. Sadly, Sidney Poitier died before those 94th Academies, and we predicted he'd die at age 94 because he became the first black actor to win Best Actor in the 94-minute film about, saving the Catholic nuns in the desert. But if you missed my work on Will Smith's slap of Chris Rock, it was perfectly synced with Sidney Poitier's death and Sidney Poitier's film where he slaps somebody in the greenhouse. And then it seemed like there was even a bigger parallel with that because you go back to the year 94, the biggest death of the year was in the greenhouse, which was Kurt Cobain, whole nother story. But anyway, again, the rituals are deep that these people do. So just think about it. Look at all this 33. And then he was just on Real Time with Bill Maher on February 2nd. And he goes on there a lot. He's probably one of the most recurring guests, but he was just there on the 33rd day of the year before all this went down. And Bill Maher began the broadcast by making fun of conspiracy theories that the NFL's rigged around Taylor Swift this year. Well, who's been telling you it's rigged around Taylor Swift all season? And who's right? How can you be trying to denounce this once it's all set? Taylor Allison Swift, 104 for the 104th NFL season. Speak Now, her album she put out just before the season began. It's funny how she's coming over from Japan before the Super Bowl. Isn't it interesting how Japan's got that 42-15 and it's on the 42nd day of the year, and Mahomes number 15 trying to win his 15th playoff game as the Chiefs would try to get to 4-2 in Super Bowls. Anyway, from the rigged NFL to the rigged Grammys to the rigged arrests of Killer Mike, it's all by the numbers. And again, I just, I see a lot of detractors just always trying to denounce the work, but then you never see them ever take like a single piece of evidence and try to explain why it's all coincidence. So if you're one of those people, why not just silence yourself? It's weird how the same people that do that are always trying to make videos saying, I'm a racist. There's probably not anybody else who stood up more for Black America in the last decade plus that I've been here, while these people try to denounce the work that proves the racism of the system. I'd say anybody who makes a video saying I'm a racist is the racist. So, yeah, Bill Maher, bring a song. We were outside Bill Maher's studio this past April in Jimmy Kimmel's Masonic temple calling these people out. They should have brought a song. They should have brought us on. And you know what? I don't feel bad for Killer Mike. If you saw Killer Mike on Bill Maher, what do? He get up there and he makes a stupid joke to start the show. And even Bill Maher didn't like it. He's like, why did you say that? He's like, I've never seen so many white people without a lynching. It's like, dude, you've never seen a lynching in your lifetime. The media has always been the one selling the racism narrative to keep people divided. So, yeah. Killer Mike's been getting a lot of checks from white people his whole life. Guarantee you that much. So, anyhow, the albino eagle right here ready for service to fill in the shoes of the black eagle. And we all know what happened to the black eagle. It's funny, that's the one show on Sirius XM that wouldn't take my call a decade ago. Because when I first learned this knowledge, I was calling in nonstop to Urban View. Because I've just always known black people are the most susceptible to knowledge and information and what's wrong in the world. But also just right away figuring out the thing about this racism code that they do over and over. And there were hosts that took the call and listened to the knowledge. They didn't cut me off. They let me finish my point. They said, oh, that's interesting. To look more into that. But we could never get through to the Black Eagle show. His screener just would not take the call. And now he's dead by the numbers. And I guarantee, had this been on the Black Eagle, just even this one presentation right here would have been the best thing he ever did in his show in all the decades he was on there. So, would have been the most informative broadcast he ever did. All right, so yeah, again, just another undeniable piece of evidence of what's going on in the world. And think about all the things that this shows. It just shows, like, I mean, just on how many levels, how bad it is. How many taxpayer dollars were paid for this fleet of police officers they brought there for the ritual? How much did the taxpayer have to contribute? Again, remember the point of my work, to understand what this nation really is, who runs it, who controls it, and who needs to get revolted against. Why all this stuff needs to go. Remember, when this nation was founded, supposedly based on freedom and liberty, there wasn't such a thing as a police force. There was no police. There was no police. And by the way, to make a point about his name in the 102, let's make this point too, because I forgot to make it in the... We just saw Hoodie get arrested on the first day of Black History Month, 102 days from his birthday. Of course, slavery is 102. The not so nice N-word is 102, of course. But you know another 102 word? Actually, look at the overlap. Look at how the N-word is 60, 102, and 30. Look at all that. And of course, the 42. That goes without saying. But the 60, 102, 30, look what happens when I write police. 60, 102, 30. And of course, KRS-One has that song about the parallels between the officer and the overseer. The overseers who worked the slave plantation to make sure the slaves were in line. You know. And again, you just saw it with and the story about Hoodie. If you guys didn't read the story, his arrest 102 days from his birthday on the first day of Black History Month. And again, his name Rucker has that 76 in it. But if you didn't read the story, it said the charge that he was arrested for, a minor drug charge. Again, it's a minor charge for Killer Mark, a minor abuse charge. But they said the charge for Darius Rucker was from last year. So they didn't arrest him all this time. They just had to wait until the first day of Black History Month, 102 days before his birthday. Again, rituals. And what's the point we're always making about the rituals being performed with the authorities and the police departments, from the shootings to everything else? I don't know how anyone can deny it. And by the way, I just caught wind of this. Let's decode this in real time, too. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I see that on the day of the 66th Grammys, you have another athlete dead. And keep in mind, they have these Grammys in the basketball stadium, right? But you got Earl Cureton of the Pistons, Detroit on the 42nd parallel. Hello, Rosa Parks. Again, it was Rosa Parks' birthday. Where'd Rosa Parks die at? She was born in Tuskegee. Here, let me just pull up Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was born in Tuskegee, which equals 42, like slavery, like the N-word, like Detroit on the 42nd parallel, like Martin equals 42, who lived in apartment 42 in the sitcom in Detroit. But Rosa Parks' birthday was yesterday too, right? On the back of the bus, when bus is also 42. But she died in Detroit on the 42nd parallel. So now you have a basketball player from Detroit dead on this day at age 66, the day of the 66th Grammys. Let's, I always tell you Detroit's the 83 city. Yesterday, I think it was the Magic that won in Detroit. And the Magic improved to 8-3 versus the Central Division. Again, Detroit, Michigan's 83. It's on the 83rd Meridian. Just same numbers all the time. You just pay attention from Rig Sports to Rig News. His birthday is 9-3. I want to show you what's interesting about his birthday being 9-3 and him dying on Rosa Parks' birthday. See how Rosa Parks' full name is 93? You see how Black History Month is 93? You see how Martin Luther King Jr. is 93? You see how Malcolm X is 93? And by the way, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X only met one time in history, March 26, 64, a date with 93 numerology. 93 is another number that goes back to the Old Testament. Of course, it's the reflection of 39. And again, I'll keep reminding that the oldest person in the Old Testament, Methuselah, is black. So what do you think everybody else was? Not to mention it's set in that part of the world, but all that's been whitewashed. So anyhow, let's look more at this. Earl Cureton, dead at 66, from Detroit, on the day of the 66th Grammys. September 3rd is the day leaving 119 days left in the year, and he died on the 35th day of the year. So what? He died 154 days after his birthday. Is that right? If so, I'll show you what's up with that. Let me make sure my math is right. Yeah, he died 154 days after his birthday. Also 22 weeks on the nose, which is a big basketball number. He's a basketball player. But the 154 is right here. Ritual sacrifice, 154. So. He was the 58th overall pick of the draft. Detroit had a really big season this year, the year of Super Bowl 58. He's dead a week before the Super Bowl. You know that's not an accident. That's how they do it. Day after day, week after week, year after year. Man, he played on a lot of teams. Philadelphia, Olympia Milano. So he played overseas. In Italy. Kobe spent some time over there too. Detroit, Chicago, Clippers, Hornets, Milano again, back to Italy. New Haven Skyhawks. That must have been an experimental league. A French team, Sioux Falls. Man, he was all over playing basketball. Back into the NBA for the Rockets, then the Raptors. And then he coached some WNBA. Man, his life was basketball. He won the championship in 83. And then again, a big 83 ritual yesterday in Detroit. Again, Detroit, we call it the 83 city because it's on the 83rd Meridian. And Detroit, Michigan's 83. You see how Detroit, Michigan's also 155? We just showed how he died 154 days after his birthday, which is true. You could also say he died on his 155th day of his age. In Black History Month, Rosa Parks. birthday in the city on the 42nd parallel on the date that can be written for too. How about it? But yeah, again, there's the whole world of entertainment controlled by the same cabal. That's why they'll sacrifice a 66-year-old basketball player the day of the 66th Grammys. Why doesn't Bill Maher, all 5 foot nothing of him, bring me on to talk about it? He should bring me on to talk about the Taylor Swift conspiracy that he was making fun of. We can talk about the day, 2 days before the Super Bowl. Fly me out, Bill. We'll go down and watch the unveiling of the Kobe statue together. Talk about Kobe's death at age 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age when his whole career was defined by 41. He scored 81. The rest of his team scored 41. He scored 60 in the last game, and the rest of his team scored 41. We can talk about his death, Moses Malone's. I can't think right now. Who's the other 76er who died right next to Moses Malone? All these Philly basketball players' deaths right before Kobe's last season. My brain's collapsing on me right now. Someone in the chat help me out. Who's the other Philly basketball player who died right next to Moses Malone? Daryl Dawkins, exactly. Thank you. Daryl Dawkins. Yep, that's the one. Yeah, it's sick. It's sick how they do it. So. Yeah, Chocolate Thunder. That's right. All right. Well, thank you again to everyone who hits the like and the share. And hey, if you guys want to call Urban View call-in number. Seriously, if we could just get people calling the Urban View shows all day and just being like, hey, we want Zachary K. Hubbard to fill in for Joe Madison's shoes, because they're saying who's going to fill his shoes. I don't feel like it's a problem at all to say we can fill his shoes and do way better, like 1,000,000 times better. Sirius XM should bring us on. We'll explain why all the black music stations start on channel 42 on Sirius XM. We'll start right there for the first broadcast. We'll enlighten the viewers. We'll show them just how even Sirius XM is a big part of the sick joke. We'll show them what they did with DMX on 4321 while LL Cool J has the GOAT station 43 right after. Remember how they did that to DMX right after Brady won the Super Bowl at age 43 and after the Goatville killings? LL Cool J's got that song 4321 where he says he's the greatest of all time at the end. And of course, GOAT is 43. And if you guys don't have Sirius XM, LL Cool J's got channel 43. They said DMX, who's on that song as well, was like a vegetable on 4321. And again, Brady won the Super Bowl at 43. And you had the Goatville killings at Yale right before he won it. And again, American football is credited to Walter Camp, who went to Yale and was in Skull and Bones. Of course, football is 43 like Florida. Of course, we talked about all these things. Now Brady was going to win that Super Bowl over the Chiefs before that season even began. Called it in August based on what they did with the Tampa Bay Rays in baseball. Yeah, Stephen A. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's have a Stephen A. Smith. I'll take Stephen A. Smith was also just on Bill Maher. It can be a panel of all these people. I'll take them all on at once and win. Guaranteed. Shout out to Mr. Scott, always with the generosity. Kai Cenat had a ritual with Playboy Cardi, and you're right, Zach. The mockery of black is all-time high. I don't know if it's this month. I feel like it's every time Black History Month comes around. But it is the year 2024, and 24 is the reflection of 42, so maybe it will be worse. Again, it's like Jackie losing his son at age 24. I've heard this name, Kai Cenat, but I honestly don't know who that is. I got to look it up. Was this a recent thing that happened? Anthony Davis trolled for being a 30-year-old Kai Cenat viewer. Oh, wait, is this Kai Cenat guy the guy that caused the riot in New York? That's right. That was a ritual, too. You know why they got to emphasize that he's 30? It's right here, you guys. It's sick. Slavery, 30. Tuskegee, 30. N-words got that 30. You know, they got it on Martin and Malcolm X too. If I can spell Malcolm X right. Their little number code. So. Here, let me see if maybe I got to just type in more to figure out what you're talking about. I think people are right. I think that Kai Cenat is Diddy's son. He does look a lot like him. When I look at his face, I see Puff Daddy, who sacrificed Biggie by the numbers. Jay-Z, Puff Daddy, the biggest beneficiaries of the notorious B.I.G. And I mean, just how weren't they always teasing you? What's Biggie's first album called? Ready to Die? What's the one that came out right at the time he died? Life After Death? It's like, come on. Tupac's last music videos, him in heaven. Tupac on the cross, put out on Remember the 5th of November, the big Jesuit day, Guy Fawkes Day. I'll have to look more into this. I don't know about the whole thing, but I appreciate the heads up, as always, and the generosity of Mr. Scott. All right, we'll leave it there for now, you guys. I had to laugh at something in the chat. All right, we'll leave it there, you guys. Until next time, True Seeker. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thanks to everyone who calls into Urban View. Says we want the albino eagle. Until next time, everybody.